5 candles provide the only light in the locked bedroom. The house is entirely quiet until the silence shatters with a violent knocking. The brass handle slowly twists on its own. Then the heavy wooden door bursts inward with a deafening crack. Every candle is instantly extinguished. Plunged into total darkness, 5 terrified teenagers scatter blindly through the house, running in completely different directions. This violent intrusion was the inevitable result of 5 teenagers finding a forgotten game that afternoon and ignoring the warning that came with it. In the autumn of 2019, 5 cousins, all between the ages of 15 and 17, were left completely unsupervised for the weekend at an isolated farmhouse outside Asheville, North Carolina. Looking for a distraction, they climbed the wooden stairs into the neglected attic. Past the broken furniture and dust-covered trunks, they discovered a small wooden box wrapped in faded black cloth. Inside the box was an aged spirit board. The letters were heavily faded, and the wooden planchette was cracked from years of disuse. But someone had left a clear instruction on the underside of the pointer. 3 words were carved directly into the wood: "Do not finish." The cousins dismissed the carving as a cheap Halloween prank, ignoring a warning that had been physically etched into the wood for a reason. Just after midnight, they carried the board into a bedroom, locked the door, and sat in a circle. They placed their fingers on the planchette and asked if anyone could hear them. At first, the pointer slid deliberately to yes. Then it began moving erratically across the board, spelling a single word: R-U-N. That was the exact moment the violent knocking began, battering the locked door from the hallway. The ritual forced a doorway open, inviting an aggressive, predatory presence into the room. As the cousins scattered in the dark, the entity actively engaged them. In the kitchen, Noah watched a heavy dining chair slide autonomously across the floor, moving directly toward him. Lucas locked himself in the laundry room, only to hear 3 gentle taps on the door and the voice of his mother begging to be let in. When he refused to open it, the voice stopped, replaced by a slow, methodical scratching against the wood. In the bathroom, Chloe stood trembling before the mirror. Her reflection remained perfectly still, until it smiled at her, raised a hand, and the glass violently cracked from top to bottom. Aiden reached the attic stairs, where he heard the laughter of multiple children. One by one, marbles rolled down the wooden steps, and a brief flash of lightning revealed the silhouette of a child standing at the top. While the others faced physical hostility, Emma experienced something entirely different in the library. A young girl in a muddy white dress materialized in the doorway, clutching a worn teddy bear, and quietly asked Emma to stay with her. The entity used these distinct fears to divide the cousins. By mimicking voices and utilizing shadows to drive them into separate rooms, it cleared a path to reach a single, defenseless target. The sudden, piercing sound of Emma screaming echoed through the farmhouse. The surviving cousins rushed to the library, finding it empty, before tracking her weak cries up to the restricted attic. They found her sitting motionless on the floor in the far corner, her back turned to them. Aiden walked closer and placed a hand on her shoulder. Emma's body fell sideways. She was dead, her eyes wide open and her face frozen in absolute terror. Then Chloe looked toward the window. Standing completely unsupported outside the 3rd-story glass was the little girl in the muddy dress. She smiled, lifted a finger to her lips, and vanished. The sounds and shadows in the rest of the house were only a distraction. While the others were being hunted, Emma was being pulled into the darkness for good. By morning, police arrived to investigate, but could not explain Emma's cause of death. The spirit board had vanished from the property entirely. But the nightmare didn't end in that house, because every one of the 4 cousins tells the same story. The 4 survivors carry the permanent psychological weight of that open door. Even years later, they share the exact same recurring vision: Emma's ghost standing silently in the corners of dark rooms, staring at something standing just behind them. And they still hear the auditory proof that the entity remains tethered to them. On quiet nights, a faint voice from the darkest corner of the bedroom will ask, "Do you want to play?" Ignoring the carved warning cost Emma her life. For the 4 who survived, they are condemned to a lethal game that can never be finished.